there's a truth to when we don't trust, we don't talk. Men will not open up when they don't feel they can be vulnerable. And a lot of times men, they have this fear of like, I don't trust that if I speak where my heart is really feeling, that it's going to be received right. Maybe they're not trusting that the spouse will cheat on them, leave, do something they shouldn't do. It's simply, I don't trust what you'll do with the information. If I share my heart, will you use it against me later? Will you take this and bring it up in another argument or disagreement?
This episode is sponsored by TherapyNotes, TherapyNotes.com. Be sure and check them out, and be sure and use the promo code Gordon, Gordon, and you can try them out for 2 months for free. For the past 20 plus years, I've been working in the mental health field as a licensed therapist, private practice owner, coach, and consultant. And I've learned a lot the hard way, and I don't think you need to do the same. Hi there, I'm Gordon Brewer, and welcome to the Practice of Therapy podcast, part of the Psychcraft network of podcasts. Whether you're just starting out, expanding your practice, or looking for fresh inspiration, this podcast is here to support you in your journey. Each week, we explore the real-world challenges and opportunities that come with building and growing your private practice. From marketing and money management to ethics, client care, and self-care, we cover it all. You'll hear from leading experts, seasoned clinicians, and innovative voices in the mental health and allied health fields, all sharing their insights and strategies to help you thrive in your practice. So let's jump in and get to today's episode of the Practice of Therapy podcast. And welcome to the podcast. This is episode number 411 of the Practice of Therapy podcast. I'm Gordon Brewer, and so glad you've joined me for this particular episode. I'm really looking forward to you hearing from my guest, Derrick Boger. And Derrick, I met back in October at the Wise Practice Summit, which my good friend Whitney Owens holds every year. And it's specifically for faith-based practices or folks that incorporate their faith journey within their practice as therapists. And Derrick was one of the keynote speakers. And when I heard him speak, I thought, okay, this is a guy I need to get on the podcast. And so I talked with Derrick about it, and he was so gracious to be and willing to come on the podcast. And one of the things that we talk about in this particular episode is just about what it means to be called to something, or what it means to be drawn to something in a way that is maybe kind of hard to put words to. But Derrick has an extensive background he has served in the military. He's also a pastor, and also has been very influenced by his faith with his practice. And so we jump into this conversation about building relationships, and also how it comes through in your practice, particularly in the niches that we create for ourselves. So I'm really looking forward to you hearing from Derrick in this particular episode. One of the things too that if you've been following me a while and are on my email list, you've gotten some information about working with me for doing individual consulting. And so I'd love to have a conversation with you about that, and we can book just a free 15-minute brainstorming session or brain dumping session or whatever you want to call it, and talk about what it would be like to do some consulting with me. So if you'll go over to practiceoftherapy.com and just click on that button there that says coaching and consulting, you can find out more about that. I love working with people individually in their journeys, and really depending on what your needs are, we've got a few different packages that you can choose from around all of that. So anyway, go check it out. and love to hear back from you on that. And also love for you to hear from one of the members of the Sightcraft Network, along with some words from our sponsor of the podcast, TherapyNotes.
Hey there, Daniel Fava here, and if you don't know me, I'm the host of the Private Practice Elevation podcast, where I share online marketing strategies and interviews to help private practice owners attract more clients and scale their businesses. The Private Practice Elevation podcast is part of the Sightcraft network of podcasts, and I'm super excited to be a part of this network alongside Gordon and the great work he's doing. If you haven't discovered the Private Practice Elevation podcast yet, you can find it wherever you listen to your podcasts. I'd love for you to join me as we explore topics like building an effective website for your private practice, search engine optimization, content marketing, and copywriting, as well as my conversations with experienced private practice owners about scaling a practice, outsourcing, team leadership, and all things that will help you elevate your business and create the life you love. Be sure to check us out at privatepracticeelevation.com for resources and content to help you in your online marketing journey.
Hi, this is Rachel, Gordon's podcast assistant, and I want to share the platform Gordon trusts for his own practice, TherapyNotes. TherapyNotes is the highest rated EHR, practice management, and billing software for mental health professionals. It's an all-in-one system for scheduling, notes, billing, and secure client communication. And if you ever need help, their 24/7 customer service is always just a call or email away. Their latest update, Therapy Fuel, uses AI to streamline documentation, generating progress notes, creating contact notes from client messages, and even summarizing client history forms, saving therapists hours every week. Are you ready to give it a try? Head to therapynotes.com, click Start My Free Trial, and use the code GORDON to get your first 2 months free. See why TherapyNotes is the most trusted EHR and the one Gordon chooses for his practice. Please enjoy the rest of the show.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome again to the podcast. And I'm real excited for you to get to know Derrick Boger. And met Derrick recently, back in October of 2025, depending on when you're listening to this, at the Wise Practice Conference. And I was just so inspired by him. He was one of the keynote speakers. But Derrick, welcome.
Thank
Glad
you,
you're
Gordon.
here.
It's a pleasure to be here. Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here, man. I'm super excited.
Yeah. So for folks that might not know you already, as I start with everyone, tell folks a little bit more about yourself and how you've landed where you've landed.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I am a licensed clinical mental health counselor. I founded a business, my private practice called Transformation Christian Counseling. I'm in Greensboro, North Carolina. Super excited about what I get to do. I'm one of those people who never felt like life was about me. It's never my or no more. It's a life of service. Grew up with parents as pastors and kind of in church my whole life, but I always wanted to serve people. So from there, big in sports, won state championships, things like that. But went from there, 8 years in the military, 10 years as a firefighter, and now over 2 decades of church leadership. But God kind of planted me over to just being able to walk alongside the pains of people in life and just serving them as a therapist now. I love the work I get to do. I work with men, individual, and married couples as well, helping them transform their lives inside out. That's where the Transformation Christian Counseling name kind of comes from right there. Yep.
Right. Yes. Well, thanks, Derrick. And, maybe a place where we can start is tell folks maybe a little more about how you got inspired to kind of the niche that you're in. I mean, working with men, obviously you're male. And I know I've had a previous guest on the podcast that really, we talked about how working with men is different. And I'm sure, it goes without saying, with your military background and your first responder background, you've seen a lot of stuff. And so how was it that maybe inspired you to kind of work with folks like that, and kind of what's your approach?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think even just being a man in general, definitely I'm in a female dominant feel. When you think about therapists, majority of them are females. So I am considered a unicorn in the field. I'm male, I'm African American, and I'm a Christian. You put those three together again, that does stand out in its own way. And I love helping other men communicate and learn more about themselves. Men are generally shy when it comes to that, Gord, to just being able to talk and express themselves. We understand women a lot of times connect by talking. They converse, they share, they draw closer like that. Men, we're not so much. Gordon, we tend to we connect by doing. Guys can go on a fishing trip and fish for 8 hours straight and not talk. They say two words and they come back home and they had the best day of their life with their best friend, but they didn't talk a lot. Women, they can sit, and talk throughout the day, and that's kind of how they connect. So again, we're different how we relate. So sometimes in the therapy room, what I realize is just being a safe place to actually let men learn to communicate. What I've noticed, Gordon, is when they can open up with me personally, it's amazing how they can then go home and realize that now I'm tapping into my own emotions and I'm learning to communicate that even easier. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. It is interesting how, I think as men, we are much more, and you kind of alluded to this, action oriented. In other words, we want to know what to do, not necessarily how to feel or all that sort of thing. If there's a problem that presents itself, we want to solve the problem and conquer the problem and move on to other things.
I heard a comedian go to one time say that men have a nothing box. They talk about how there's actually this box with nothing in it. And he talks about how men, sometimes a wife will look at us and say, hey, what are you thinking about right now? And they're like, nothing. And obviously a woman said, there's no way you're not thinking about nothing. You're thinking about something like a struggle, a problem. And they're like, no, I'm not. But there's parts of it where we do compartmentalize and we just say we can turn this off and still connect with our spouse. We can still watch TV. We can have a storm going around us, but we do know how sometimes to compartmentalize and put that apart and still have a different feeling or emotion. You asked me earlier about my firefighting experience and how even it connected men and working with guys. That's one thing I learned definitely in the fire department, for sure. You would leave a traumatic call, something that was really life-threatening, a hard situation. But on the way back to the firehouse, you would have to switch again because the tones go off for a whole nother emergency. If you couldn't focus on I'm done with that one and go to the next, then you would have a hard time doing that. And then I would walk home, get home to my house, sit in the garage and say a prayer before I walked in the house because I need to shake that off to be present as a father and a husband to my family. So again, learning to put these pieces apart. But I get to teach that in the counseling room. I get to sit with men and talk about, hey, emotions are important. And there's an emotional intelligence we all need to be effective men in our houses as well. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, that's an interesting thought there. As you think about emotional intelligence and teaching that, what are some of the kind of your go-tos with that as far as helping people understand that, particularly men that maybe have never been around that or heard that language before?
It's great for you to even say that. I hope women are even listening to this and they're getting it. There's a truth to when we don't trust, we don't talk. Here's the truth, Gordon. When you think, I see you nodding your head and shaking, but here's the thing, men will not open up when they don't feel they can be vulnerable. And a lot of times men, they have this fear of I don't trust that if I speak where my heart is really feeling, that it's going to be received right. Maybe they're not trusting that the spouse will cheat on them, leave, do something they shouldn't do. It's simply, I don't trust what you'll do with the information. If I share my heart, will you use it against me later? Will you take this and bring it up in another argument or disagreement? So sometimes we hold back because we're not sure that we can trust how it'll be used against us at another time in life. So there's this space of learning to be vulnerable, but trusting the space it is. So when women come to me like, Derrick, how do I get my husband to talk? Or a man sits on the couch and he's telling me, Derrick, how do I talk more? It first has to be a vulnerable space. And they're saying, I don't know how to talk. I don't know. And I'm like, well, here's the thing. After 3 sessions with you doing it with me. And they're like, but you're different, Derrick. I trust you. I say, interesting. Think about it, Gordon. They trust me. And they're learning to talk. So now as we begin to grasp that, now it's easy to do once there's safety. So now Is it really?
Absolutely.
So now
Hmm.
is it really the trust, or is it the safety of once I trust the person, I can do it? So now we start getting to the root of it. Okay, so there's lack of trust somewhere. So there's
Hmm.
something that when you're why. So tell me about that part. So then we dig a little deeper and we figure out where that distrust is coming with that spouse.
Hmm.
What are you afraid of if you were to share your heart with this spouse? What do you
Right.
think would happen? And you begin to get a little deeper from there. So much I could say to that, Gordon, but yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I totally agree. I mean, that's just been a theme, and I also work with couples, and that's been a theme that I just see come up over and over again about being able to create a safe space for both people to be able to share their
That's right.
internal world. And that's, to me, is the definition of a healthy relationship is when two people can share their internal world and it be safe.
Absolutely. Because what I do not increase or I mean encourage is for a couple to be together. And I see people say, like, listen, I've been married 50 years. My grandmama was married 60 years. Well, that's great, but they lived in two different bedrooms. Like they weren't
Hmm.
happy. It doesn't have to
Hmm.
be a story. Like you could be
Hmm.
married 20 years or 80 years, but are
Hmm.
you enjoying your marriage? Like, don't just
Right.
be in it and say I never left her. Like, let's
Hmm.
work through it. Let's learn the communication skills. So I believe you should be able to be in a marriage where it's healthy and you can communicate your fears, your insecurities, your trust, your doubts, your fears, and actually have that space to communicate and grow closer. So that's what I teach. I teach people how to learn. First of all, learn how to talk to me. Because once you can say, okay, it's freeing, it's good to be able to do this and get this off my chest. Now, how do we
Hmm.
take your bride? How do we get that same space with her?
Hmm.
And at some point, Gordon, I like to bring the spouse in once they're comfortable. And
Right.
they usually come in and there's this space of like, well, I have noticed this difference in them since they've been coming to you. But
Hmm.
now I say, now let's talk about the space in which it is at home. And we'll get a little deeper into that. And from there, there's usually more unity that comes into it. But yeah, it starts with
Right.
learning how to talk with me. If they can learn to talk to me, Gordon, the problem is not always that they can't talk, is they don't feel safe. So going back to the root
Right.
of the question. Mhm.
Right. Right.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Struggling to find something for everyone on your list? Bob's Discount Furniture can help. Shop Bob's super selection of great gifts, from deluxe dining sets with storage and nap-ready recliners with all the bells and whistles to oh-so-soft Bobopedic sofas and beautiful budget-friendly bunk beds. All available at everyday low prices that will keep your holiday shopping haggle and hassle-free. So stop into your nearest store, shop online at mybobs.com, and holiday the Bob's way. Oh, my Bob.
So, how would you say, and this is, I know some basics as far as therapy goes, but how do you build that safety with people, do you think?
Me personally? Is that what you're
Uh-huh.
asking? Oh,
Hmm.
great question. I could even ask you that, Gordon. You
Hmm.
saw me. We got to meet at the conference, the summit, and it was great. And I
Hmm.
think there's a connectivity that I truly believe. Here's the truth about me. I love people,
Hmm.
hands down. Like, I don't know if you know me more than 5 minutes, you'll get that. There's some people watching this video right now or hearing the podcast, and they can feel my energy right now. I
Hmm.
love people. That's undeniable.
Hmm.
I may not know you. I may not, I may not only be in the room for 10 minutes, but when I leave a person's presence, I like to believe this. Did I help them feel better or did I make their day worse? So my heart is truly to serve people and get the best out of them. So if that becomes magnetic, because here's the beauty. When someone walks in a room and they're not happy, they're
Hmm.
depressed, they're sad, it is amazing how that energy can fall on you.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
especially as men, you walk in the room, oh, dad's in a bad mood. Oh my goodness, this is, he's about to kick the dog. Everything's bad. Nothing's happy. And now people reserve back. They pull back in the house. But a smile is also contagious. When you bring good energy, it is as well. So here's the answer to your question, Gordon. When a client comes in, that's felt. Sometimes the connection
Hmm.
and the safety is what I exude because I truly care about people. Well, somebody's
Hmm.
listening, they're like, well, how do you know if somebody cares? You can usually feel it.
Right.
You may not remember my name, you may not remember who I am, but you'll remember how I made you feel. And that'll never change. So when you're in my presence, can you feel my heart, my care,
Mm-hmm.
my
Mm-hmm.
empathy for you. And I think it goes back to just personality 101. Like if you truly care for people, it'll show.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. So another thing too, Derrick, is, and I suspect you're aware of this, but the other thing too is that when I first listened to you speak, you also got very vulnerable with people. You
Mhm.
shared your internal world and some of your life's experiences and some of the things that you maybe struggled with or things that you failed at, those kinds of things. Because I believe your talk was on basically on imposter syndrome and us getting over that as therapists. And I think when therapists can do, even though we're in a lot of our training, we're taught not to do this, but I think self-disclosure just builds credibility. It opens the door for people to say, "Oh, this person is not that much different than me,"
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
they feel safe.
Absolutely. Who doesn't want to relate to somebody? Like there's a
Hmm.
relatability. Like, oh, they're not sitting here as a perfect person who's never had a mistake. They can relate to, being flawed or having mistakes and those kind
Hmm.
of things. So I'm big in the church as well. I'm in church leadership, those kind of things. But
Right.
also like, so I'll see people who come in, they're kind of hurt. They're mad at God, they're this and this. And instead of me preaching Jesus over their head, it's simply, I just want to love on you. But I can remind
Hmm.
people that, hey, I know what it feels like. I know what
Hmm.
church hurt feels like. I know what it feels like to be abandoned by God. I know what it feels like
Hmm.
to lose a brother that meant everything to me at the age of 27. Like I
Hmm.
can relate to the pains, but then I say, but God. And then I point
Hmm.
them to like, there is a way out of this. You don't have to stay there.
Hmm.
But I think the
Right.
connection that people need sometimes is just the heart of like understanding there's empathy that someone has and compassion for who I am and the mistakes I've made. I've
Right.
sat in rooms where people have told me they're pregnant and they're not happy about it. And they're like, I'm just deciding these things and I can't tell my parents. And, but it's like, hey, I make mistakes too. And thank God that my children are under one roof with my wife, but I made some mistakes when I was young. And sometimes just hearing people relate to your story, it could have been me if it wasn't for the grace of God, but yet
Hmm.
there's still love, there's still hope, there's still direction, there's still these things ahead of you. So, but being able to be with people in the middle of their situations
Hmm.
brings
Yeah.
more connection as well.
Right. Yeah. One of the things that Derrick and I share in common is I'm also very church was very much part of my life as well. And like Derrick, I grew up as a PK, preacher's kid, and
Yep.
so
Uh-huh.
know that world well.
Yeah.
But I think one of my mantras that relates to this, Derrick, is just letting people know that they're not alone. And I think that's exactly, not to get too far off on a pulpit here, but I think that's exactly what Christ taught was is that to let people know they're not alone and also that they're seen and that you're not
Yeah.
invisible. I mean, that was just over and over again. He would, you know, reach out to the people that were invisible in their society of that time. And so I think that goes a long, long way in just, you know, building rapport and just helping people with their healing.
Yeah. It's so true. And the thing we all are hurting. And that's one thing about me, Gordon, I don't walk into Target with the Bible in my arms. Like
Hmm.
I don't walk in, I don't beat Jesus over the head with people. I just love people because that's what Christ would do.
Hmm.
So part of
Hmm.
that is, do they feel God through me? Is there
Hmm.
a better experience that they have with my faith? It's something about that guy that I really like. What is it about him? Then I get to say, well, I'm so glad you asked. And I can
Hmm.
encourage them and lead them to those things. But I like to walk with the mantra of what would Jesus do if he was
Hmm.
here? For those
Hmm.
of faith, we understand that Jesus is not walking this earth again. I mean, he'll come back again one day, but he's not 33 years he was here. But there's principle of like we're the hands and feet of Jesus. So as we
Hmm.
get to walk this earth and be a light to those around us, how are we taking that? And I don't take for granted
Right.
one moment to be able to do that. So yeah,
Yeah.
I really just love to do that. But here we are as people, as we get back to it, like we all have
Hmm.
baggage. We all have issues. We have
Absolutely.
traumas. We all have things that we face in life, but there is a hope. There is a
Hmm.
greater purpose behind it all. And what
Hmm.
an honor, Gordon, when we can sit with people and help them walk through it. If I break my elbow right now, I go to a doctor who can heal my elbow.
Hmm.
So what about my mind? What about the mental capacity where we're hurting or we're not getting over certain things? I believe I'm a gift of God that can sit here and maybe I'm trained and taught and led to be able to sit with you and help you through a mental state that you're going through. Why is it we can take our car to be fixed, but not sit with the person to help us with our mind and our mental
Hmm.
capacity?
Right.
The neck down, we work on it. We go exercise, we work out. But the neck up, that's what our specialty is. How can I help someone learn to walk out what
Hmm.
God's called them to do in their own lives? So yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, I think yeah, and a big part of that is seeing seeing a person for who they are and recognize helping them recognize that they are also a child of God, made in God's image, and regardless of mistakes they've made, regardless of whatever's going on in their life, there could be healing from all of that.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah.
true. There's a scripture that jumped out to me real quick. Hebrews 12:1. It says, let us strip off every weight that slows us down,
Hmm.
especially the sin that so easily trips us up. And let us run with endurance the race that God has set before us. What I mean by that is just letting things away, getting rid of
Hmm.
the things that's holding us down. If Gordon is walking a mile with his wife later today, it's one thing if he just walks alone. But if I put a book bag on you, Gordon, and I fill it up with rocks, and I
Hmm.
say, no, take that same walk. You could do it, but it's a lot heavier. It's a
Right.
much harder walk. When I could
Right.
say, hey, is it heavy like that? Is it just this whole point of like how heavy it could be when you don't have to carry that weight if you give it away?
Hmm.
So
Right.
when we sit with clients, we get to give that space to say, hey, don't carry all that alone. Let's have
Hmm.
some space to get rid of some of that where you can go off and be free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is absolute truth there. Regardless of what you might believe or whatever faith you might follow or not follow,
Mm,
none of this we have to do alone.
that's right.
And that's again, that's where healing occurs. And I had somebody mention to me the other day is that there is a difference between healing and a cure. I mean, a lot of us can be healed, but there's
Mhm.
not always a cure. And so I think that was something that
Mhm.
just kind of resonated for me. So yeah, I think that's
That's, I like that. I like that.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's good.
So well, Derrick, I know we could spend all day, and hopefully one day we'll get to do that. Just talking about these things. But what would you want people that are in our field and do what we do to know that would maybe help them feel better about what they're doing?
Mm. I just want to encourage people. It's such a field that's needed. If you're a
Hmm.
therapist out there and you're wondering, like, is my calling, is it important work that I'm doing? I simply want to say yes. I think about how we all eat food, Gordon. We all need to
Hmm.
eat. And there's
Hmm.
a restaurant on every single corner all over this
Hmm.
planet.
Hmm.
But yet somebody doesn't say, well, there's already too many restaurants. So maybe you're listening and you're like, there's so many therapists. I feel the same way. There's a lot of them. You can Google
Hmm.
right now, therapists near me, and just watch how many come up.
Hmm.
But it's something about you specifically.
Hmm.
So somebody's listening right now, Gordon, and they're saying, am I any different? What's
Hmm.
special about me? There's already 20 other therapists in this city or this town. There's 100 more
Hmm.
over here. I'm simply saying, what about your voice? I recognize that someone's listening to me right now and they're like, let me Google what Greensboro, North Carolina is because I want Derrick.
Hmm.
Because
All
there's a
right.
voice that people have that resonates with them specifically. There's a lot
Hmm.
of podcasts out there, but somebody's looking for Gordon's voice. And there's something to be proud of when it comes to that. So if you're a therapist and you're questioning, is this for you? I just
Hmm.
want to encourage you no matter what phase of stage you're in right now, stay focused and remember your purpose. What's the why that you did it in the first place? Remember what
Hmm.
I said early on. I simply love people. I want to see
Hmm.
people win in life. I want people to be all that God's called them to be. So whatever role I play in that, let me do it. And I want to roll my sleeves up and be willing to do it for them. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, thanks, Derrick. So tell folks how they can get in touch with you if they want to connect with you more and that sort of thing.
Well, sounds good. I appreciate this time together, Gordon, and just thank you for this space. My business is called Transformation Christian Counseling. So again, if you can look me up on my website, transformationcc.com. That's again, transformationcc.com. therapynotes.com. You can find me there. And again, I have a marriage summit that's coming up just in a couple. It'll be in Valentine's Day coming up, February 14th. If you're in North Carolina, oh my goodness, it's something you will want to attend, and you'll be able to find that on our website as well. That's something coming up. It's for couples, and again, I like bringing men and women together, coming together to talk about the love and just be transformed in that. So,
Awesome.
yeah, that's where you can find me. You can Google me, Facebook me, any of those things. I'm there.
And we'll have links in the show notes and the show summary for people to access it easily. So, well, Derrick, I'm so glad we got to spend this time together, and I'm sure our paths will cross again.
Absolutely. This has been a blast, Gordon. Thanks so much for having me.
Okay. Thank you. Well, again, a big thanks to Derrick for joining me on the podcast. And I'm really thankful to be able to get to know Derrick. He's such a genuine guy, and you can certainly hear from him his genuineness around what he does and his calling and what he feels like he is led to be to do. And I think that's something that all of us at various times in our lives, we know if we've hit on the right thing. And I think for most of us in this field, providing mental health, being a mental health provider, there is a sense of calling or a sense of a compelling, if you will, or a drawing that brings us into this particular profession. And that's a theme I hear from a lot of people over and over the years. And so again, thanks to Derrick for joining me on the podcast. And also want to give a big thanks to our sponsor of the podcast, TherapyNotes. They are the leading electronic health record system for mental health providers. They're who I use in my practice and absolutely couldn't operate without them. And one of the things that I'm really impressed with them is that they're constantly updating and improving their platform. Now they have the ability through an add-on called Therapy Fuel, where you can use the benefits of AI to create your session notes or your progress notes just very quickly. And so be sure and check them out. If you'll go to practiceoftherapy.com/therapynotes and use the promo code just Gordon, Gordon, and you can try them out for 2 months for free. And so, again, thanks for joining me on the pod and listening to the podcast. I hope you'll take time to follow us or subscribe to the podcast wherever you might be listening to it, and also tell your friends about it. So thanks again, folks, and we'll be with you again next week for another episode of the Practice of Therapy podcast. You have been listening to the Practice of Therapy podcast with Gordon Brewer, part of the Psychcraft network of podcasts. Please visit us at practiceoftherapy.com for more information, resources, and tools to help you in starting, building, and growing your private practice. And if you haven't done so already, please sign up to receive the free Private Practice Startup Guide at practiceoftherapy.com. And to find more great podcasts like this one, please visit the Psychcraft Network at psychcraftnetwork.com. The information in this podcast is intended to be accurate and authoritative concerning the subject matter covered. It is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, or producers are rendering legal, accounting, or clinical advice. And if you need help in these areas, be sure to find the right professional to help you with these things.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. You know, one of the perks about having 4 kids that you know about is actually getting a direct line to the big man up north. And this year, he wants you to know the best gift that you can give someone is the gift of Mint Mobile's unlimited wireless for $15 a month. Now, you don't even need to wrap it. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.